Should we talk Harvey Elliott?
I would love to talk about Harvey Elliott.
I really think it's an interesting conversation, and people who've been watching the content over the last few weeks especially will know I've been beating the Harvey Elliott drum almost to excess. I think he's a tremendous footballer, and every time he's taken to the field for us this season, I think he's shown that. I don't think he's been put on the field enough. We'll get his ratings up first and foremost as a bit of a jumping off point. SofaScore gave him a 7, Who Scored gave him a 6.6, and FOTMob gave him a 6.6, and some of that will come down to the simple fact is there isn't enough measurable output there in the time that he's on the pitch. Doesn't get an assist and doesn't get a goal. That's why I want to use that. I want to use that as a jumping off point rather than us sort of zero in on those numbers per se, Steve.
Yeah.
Harvey Elliott needs to play more football for Liverpool.
Why do you think the manager doesn't trust him? That's obvious now. Or does he just think Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch are well better than him? Because it's been all season, he constantly hasn't used them. Listen, Elliott, he's unlucky with the shot that is the post. He could have scored later on. He when he's on the pitch, you notice him all the time. Him and Salah have a very good relationship. They link up well with each other. There's clearly something we're not getting. Is there something he doesn't do that Arne Slot wants? Because you can't tell me now that a half-fit Szoboszlai is better than Elliott. You know, I would say if they're both 100%, you still would probably go for Szoboszlai. He's quicker, a bit more energy, a bit more physicality. But Harvey Elliott is better than a bit part player. He's a very, very good player. And if he's going to leave in the summer, you'd get loads of money and there'd be about 15 teams who want to buy him.
I wonder whether he's a little bit like, and people might remember Danny Murphy differently, but like, you know, when you've got like an English footballer, he's he's not homegrown per se because we bought him from Fulham, of course, but he's that like player who's come up, you know, you've had him for a while and he's yours, and we paid so little for him, he effectively is. But he's an easy one, I think, to move on, because if he was 5 or 6 inches taller or half a yard of pace faster, I think he'd be a no-brainer, an absolute no-brainer football. You're talking Phil Foden, kind of, you know, I think in that regard. But because of all of those factors, because of the big load of money that you get hanging over his head, and because there'll be certain managers who will want to come in and have their own imprint on it, and this is what like Rafa had, is that he effectively traded Danny Murphy in for Luis Garcia in a roundabout kind of way, because you want to leave your mark and you've got to let some lads go to make that happen. I fear that for Elliott, I really do. But we did a little bit on the deep dive on this on Redmen Plus, me and Josh last week. People who've watched it will know. When we're talking about the hypothetical was, how do you replace Mo Salah? The answer is you can't. So you've got to find other ways to replace him in the aggregate. And Elliott, for me, within the existing squad, is one that I look at Elliott's numbers and say they are scalable, because his goals per minute per 90 and his assists per 90 are in like the top 5 of everyone in this squad so far. But the sample range is so small, so I get that it's a little hard to discern that. But also, when he's played lots of football for Liverpool up to this point, he needs to play more. Because if we want to be creative and score goals between now and the end of the season, I think we need Elliott.
What I would say is that, and I do think Liverpool should play more in the subs. There's going to be a lot of people in comment sections and all over, like, you've got to play Elliott more, you've got to play Chiesa more. They've looked bright in the last couple of cameos, and I would agree with that to an extent. I love them both. I love Elliott in particular. What I would say is that they've both been thrown on in like caution to the wind moments. So every time Chiesa's been on, it's been like 10 minutes to go and go and do something. Or with Elliott, the manager hasn't trusted either of them to play within his team and his structure. Yep. So there's obviously something that either the others do or that they don't do, because it's been, we're chasing 2 goals in both games. Throw 7 forwards on. Of course you're going to get on the ball. Of course there's going to be space. That's what's going to happen. Newcastle in the final, and then Fulham are more than happy to sit back. So that is, I just don't know what it is. I'd love Arne Slot to answer that question.
The problem we've got is we've got 2 lads who play on the left wing as an example. You know, Gakpo and Diaz are kind of battling it out, and that's an awkward thing. Centre forward wise, you've got Jota there, who I think is his first choice. I think, and then you've got Darwin Núñez, who was just at this point like,
the manager's given one.
Yeah, I think everyone's given up on Darwin Núñez, and it's sad because I hate that. I don't like giving up on current Liverpool players, but no one frustrates quite like Darwin does. And then you got Mo Salah, who's Mo Salah, and so like in Chiesa's example, I just don't see where. I struggle to see where Chiesa's getting in from the start anywhere. But at this point, also, I just think don't start Salah. You know what I mean? As an example, it sounds stupid, but give Salah 45 minutes off, mate. Give him 60 minutes off. You know what? It's not, honestly, at this point, Salah's not really impacting football matches in the 90 in the same way. Gakpo and Diaz are absolutely fine on that side, and clearly Jota's the one. So you've got a little bit of a conundrum there, and I have sympathy for the Chiesa case, is what I'm saying. The Elliott one, is it just a height thing?
I don't know, man.
Because does he fear us being, when you've got McAllister in that side as well? And if you then start Diaz and Jota, that's a really short team as well as being a very slow team.
That might be it, mate, because the Chiesa to Salah thing, right, I get it. But you're only saying that you give Salah a rest, you play Chiesa, I understand it. I don't think there's that much difference in ability between Szoboszlai and Elliott. All told.
Yeah.
I think Szoboszlai's really good, but I think Elliott's really good. They've got different attributes, but I'm talking level of performance. For me, it's a bit of Diaz and Gakpo, where you can pick either of them and they both got their strengths and they both got their weaknesses, but they're actually quite close.
I think that way, but you're right, it doesn't look like the manager.
Well, he doesn't. Clay doesn't, because he does it with the left back. So he does it with the left forwards to an extent in Diaz and Gakpo. He was kind of doing it at left back earlier in the season with Robertson and Tsimikas, but he's never fancied Harvey Elliott. He just hasn't. I think he's brilliant and he should play more. And again, Arne Slot is about to win the Liverpool league. I'm certain of that. I know people might have a wobble, but I think it'll be fine. 11 points to go with 11 points clear with 7 games to go. You should be fine, and you're getting chased by a team who've dropped points in 3 or 5. So it'll be all right. But going forward long term, listen, the bread and butter of the yard is win the league. Win the league, that's sound. But if we want Liverpool to be competing on multiple fronts, which is the job really, you know, you want to win European Cups again, you want to win trophies as well as Premier Leagues, but you want to be greedy, be ruthless. He will have to start doing this a little bit more. And again, it's either this is what I do, I stick with like 13, 14 lads, or he doesn't think these ones are good enough, because his comments on Elliott every time I asked about him has been, he's really good, but he's competing with Szoboszlai and Salah. Well, also he shouldn't be. Don't compete with. He's not competing with Salah. He's on a winger. Yeah. He's competing with Szoboszlai, and I think that should be more of a 60-40 split than it currently is. It's a 90-10 split at the moment.
Well, he's competing with Jones as well to some extent because of that, and that's almost been the problem. But again, we're now in a position where, and this goes back to, you need. Him and Elliott and Chiesa need injuries, and what Slot's done is he's made our players really injury resistant. But I think the trade-off of that is it's then led into overplaying them. And I think I said this around the time of the Carabao Cup final, and this sounds stupid when if you don't understand the point I'm making on this, is that weirdly we'd probably be in a better health now if we'd had a couple more injuries in some areas, because we'd have no choice but to play the fitter lads. And yes, that's where we're at now, is we're in a position where, and let's go back to the Salah Chiesa thing. Salah is a knackered Salah still better than a fully fit Chiesa? And the answer is probably. And that's where it's difficult for the manager, and that's where he wants to get this over the line. And I get it, when the pressure's on, stick with your senior lads, because it is telling that what gives him away is the left back, because they've rotated the left back for the first half of the season. He was quite clearly, it looked like of an opinion with Robertson and Tsimikas were much of a muchness, and he's realised that Robertson's better than Tsimikas, and he trusts Robertson more to get it, and you get more than just what the attributes he's bringing to the game physically. It's the psychological ones in and around, and that. So yeah, but it baffles me, and it is. But I also appreciate saying this all. Szoboszlai was running around, he was tearing around, he was pressing the goalie. So when you from a distance, you go, look at him, he looks absolutely fine. But then he's just playing really switched off passes.
He looked mentally fatigued. And that's the thing. And to bring it back to the game, when Elliott comes on, he does a lot of things very simple. But he always gets chances, no matter what, because he does link up well on that far side with Mo Salah. I think Salah looked brighter when Elliott come on. There was little give and goes. There was a couple of chances. Elliott, again, Salah nearly creates one for him. He's so unlucky with one that hits the bar. He probably should score, but you say a bit unlucky. He gets one a bit later. He just doesn't quite catch. So Elliott offers more of a goal threat than Szoboszlai now. He shouldn't, because Szoboszlai can score goals. I know, I've seen him do it. He can shoot. He's got a venomous strike on him. But right now, Harvey Elliott's more likely to score a goal if he starts.
Elliott's just providing a bridgehead in the game that Szoboszlai's not. And I know, and this is where it comes down to it. Chris, for all season, been adamant to what Szoboszlai does off the ball. Yeah. And cool, and that might be it. And there might be, the Liverpool data guys might be driving this. But actually, I don't know. For me, I want to see that Elliot's very visibly good on the ball, and so what he does when we're playing out, we become very formulaic playing out from the back, particularly when you've not got your first choice right back. In Trent, who can play the ball anywhere from right back. You're left trying to hit it down the line to Salah. Elliot gives you the pass before that because he wants it. He's desperate to have it. And then what he wants to do with his next touch is lay it off to someone and get on his bike. He's a very Pep Linders footballer. That first pass forward thing. He wants to pass it, give it, and then make a forward run and go and get it again. And then who else? Who wants to play football with me? Elliot's constantly asking lads around him to play football. And I think sometimes Szoboszlai is just, I don't know. I think Szoboszlai's terrific, but I often come away from games going, did he play well? Yeah. He's
very Wijnaldum-esque. He clearly does a job for the team, and I go back to it. In that the manager keeps picking him, but I got Elliot today, and it's worth mentioning. It's repeating itself a little bit. It was a different circumstance than we were playing. I understand that, but he looked fresh for a start.
Yes.
His passing was excellent. I've got some of the stats here in terms of his use of the ball. Like, he gave the ball away. Sorry, he was 81%, so 22 or 27. Passing forwards. Some of them ones, like, he might give it away on the edge of the box, and then you nearly get counter-attacked on. You can forgive those misplaced passes more than you can give Szoboszlai playing square balls in his own half. Elliot won't do that. He loses the ball in good areas to lose the ball. That makes sense when he's trying stuff.
Well, you've not got Trent on the pitch.
Someone's got to do something.
Someone's got to pass the ball to the lads to do the good things. And what he also does is he then gets himself in a position to do stuff. He's not just like sits back and admires his pass kind of footballer. He wants to go and be in the thick of things. Harvey Elliott is a creative leader on the pitch. And I've said this, you can get more out of him. And one of those things I said in that video was, as an example, if you buy Alexander Isak in the summer and you put a centre forward in there, I think you need someone in behind to pass the ball to him. And Elliot will do that. Elliot is the kind of player with loads of cute passes, touches, vision, creativity. If you don't, again, go and find a 6'1" Harvey Elliott, or all the best. What's he costing you? All the money. Well, 80 million is what we paid for.
I just go back to it. I like Szoboszlai and I like Curtis Jones. They're both good players. Elliot is on level at least with them, and he likes those two more than he likes Elliot, which to me says it's a physicality thing. He just thinks he's too small or too slow, and I think that's a real shame, because if he leaves in the summer and there's noise that he might, we're going to lose a very good player. And I go back to what I said before, there will be a queue of teams knocking down the door to sign Harvey Elliott. He's a squad player at this moment in time, that's fine. But in order to keep your squad players happy and keep them at the team, you've got to play them. You can't just say to 14 lads, you play every game, because you end up with no bench. Because if you're looking to be signed in the summer, when we're going to play, well, you're going to be in competition with Szoboszlai. Like, fuck off. Like, you pick him every week, and that's the worry I've got, is that he and again, I go back to Arnold Slot's to win the Premier League. He'll go, don't worry about it.
And that might change. And it's funny because he had a brilliant pre-season, and if he doesn't get injured early doors, and he might start the season, then he's in the manager's plans, and you run from that. He's unfortunate. It goes back to an injury thing. Szoboszlai's always there, McAllister's always there, and Gravenberch's always there, and that's going to be the conundrum this summer, because he's going to have that when he buys another. If he buys someone else other than Elliott, he's going to have to put him in ahead of one of those lads. And these are lads who are all in the prime of their career. He's got exactly the same problem, except he'll have paid 50 million for him, or 60 million, or whatever. Yeah. If you buy Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle, you're gonna have to play him. I'm not saying we will, but you've got to find a place for him in that team. And I think hopefully this has just been part of his way of winning the league. That is to say, trust the core of lads. And listen, it's worked. And it seems stupid to be sat here having any critique of it at all, really, because his approach has got us here. But I hope, and I don't have hope for it, because now we're playing one game a week. So why would you not play the same lads every week between now and the end of the season? Yeah. But I really think he should trust Harvey Elliott to have a go. And again, maybe trust Chiesa a bit. Just let Mo and Szoboszlai come on with half an hour left to go in a game where they've got a little bit in the tank, and then they've got pace and they can add something to the football match. There's my general thoughts on it anyway. If you agree or disagree, let us know, because Elliott is a real head scratcher as far as I'm concerned.